The medical council chamber was shaped like a circle, with seats rising in tiers all around the center floor. Representatives from 20 different species sat in those seats, waiting for the emergency session to begin. The air was filled with the sounds of different languages being translated through personal devices. The smell of various alien biochemistries mixed together in strange ways. Hana stood in the center of the chamber with Captain Taiho beside her. Behind them stood Jiho and Yuna. The four humans looked small and isolated in the middle of the huge room, surrounded by dozens of aliens who were all staring at them. Director Harnack entered from a side door, carrying a data tablet. He moved to his position at the head of the council. Dr. Velrith followed him, looking uncomfortable. He gave Hana a small nod, which she returned. At least one person here seemed to be on their side. "This emergency session is called to order," Director Harnack announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. "We are here to discuss the medical status of the human species and whether they pose a safety risk to this station and the galactic community." A wave of whispers spread through the council members. Hana felt her heart beating faster. This was not going well. Director Harnack activated his tablet, and a large holographic screen appeared in the air above the center of the chamber. The blood analysis results filled the screen. The words, "borderline flammable," glowed in red letters at the bottom. "These are the toxicology results from a human blood sample," Director Harnack said. "As you can see, the readings are alarming. Oxygen levels that exceed safety limits, chemical compounds at concentrations classified as volatile fuel, pH fluctuations that should be lethal, and traces of ethanol, which is a known toxic substance and accelerant." More whispers. Some of the council members stood up to get a better look at the data. A few moved their seats back as if afraid the humans might explode right there in the chamber. A Quillarian council member raised her crystalline hand. "Director Harnack, are you saying these creatures have poison in their blood?" "Deliberately?" "Not poison exactly," Director Harnack said. "But their blood chemistry is extremely dangerous by galactic standards. If exposed to flame or high heat, human blood could potentially ignite." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Several species representatives began shouting at once, demanding that the humans be expelled from the station immediately. Others called for stricter quarantine measures. A few wanted the humans arrested. Hana had heard enough. She stepped forward and raised her voice. "May I speak?" The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to her. Director Harnack looked like he wanted to say no, but Dr. Velrith spoke up first. "I think we should hear what they have to say. That is only fair." "Very well," Director Harnack said reluctantly. "You may speak." Hana took a deep breath. She had prepared for diplomatic meetings, but nothing like this. "Thank you. I understand that our biology seems strange and dangerous to you, but I need to explain something important. The oxygen levels in our blood are normal for us. We need that much oxygen to survive." "Why?" A tall, thin alien with purple skin asked. "Why would any species need such extreme amounts of oxygen?" "Because that is what our planet has," Hana said simply. "Earth's atmosphere contains 21% oxygen. It has been that way for millions of years. That is the air we breathe every day, every moment of our lives." The chamber went completely silent. Several council members checked their personal data devices, looking up information about Earth. Their faces showed shock and disbelief. 21%? The purple alien said weakly. "That is impossible. That is a fire hazard. Nothing can live in such an environment." "We do," Taiho said, stepping forward to stand beside Hana. "Millions of species on Earth do. Plants, animals, insects, fish, birds, all of them adapted to high oxygen levels over billions of years. But why?" Director Harnack asked. "What caused your planet's atmosphere to become so dangerous?" Yuna, the cultural liaison, spoke up. "It was not dangerous to us. It was just our environment. Ancient plants produced the oxygen through photosynthesis. Over time, more and more oxygen filled the air. Life on Earth adapted to use that oxygen for energy. Our bodies burn fuel like sugars and fats, using oxygen to create the energy we need to move and think and live." "Burn fuel," a reptilian council member repeated slowly. "You are saying your bodies are constantly burning?" "In a controlled way, yes," Hana said. "It is called metabolism. Every cell in our bodies uses oxygen to break down nutrients and create energy. That is why our blood carries so much oxygen. That is why it has those high-energy compounds you found. That is how we survived." Dr. Velrith was nodding slowly. He seemed to understand. But many other council members still looked horrified. "What about the ethanol?" Director Harnack demanded. "Why do you have toxic fuel in your bloodstream?" Tejo looked a bit embarrassed. That. Well, some of us celebrated our safe arrival at the station last night. We drank alcohol. It is a recreational beverage for humans. You drink fuel? Several council members shouted at once. "It is not fuel to us," Hana said quickly. "Well, technically it is, but our livers break it down safely. We can process many substances that might be toxic to other species. Caffeine, capsaicin, which is the chemical that makes peppers spicy. Theobromine from chocolate. Our bodies have very strong detoxification systems." "This is madness," a small furry alien said from the upper seats. "You live in a toxic atmosphere. You drink poison for fun and your blood can catch fire. How have you not gone extinct?" "Because we are tough," Jiho said flatly. The security officer had been quiet until now, but his patience was running out. "Our planet made us tough. Yes, our biology is different from yours, but we are not a threat to you. We have been on this station for 2 days now, and we have not hurt anyone. We have not caused any fires. We have not poisoned anyone. We have just been trying to make friends." Hana touched Jiho's arm gently, calming him down. Then she addressed the council again. "I understand your concerns. Our biology is unusual compared to yours. But please understand that to us your biology would seem just as strange. Most of you breathe air with very little oxygen. Some of you have blood that would freeze at temperatures we consider comfortable. Others have metabolism so slow that you need to sleep for weeks at a time. We are all different. That is what makes the galactic community interesting." "Interesting is one word for it," Director Harnack muttered. "Dangerous is another." "We are only dangerous if you make us your enemies," Tejo said firmly. "We came here seeking friendship and cooperation. We have much to offer. Yes, our biology is adapted for harsh conditions, but that means we can survive in places you cannot. We can help with situations that would be impossible for other species." "Like what?" the purple alien asked. Tejo thought for a moment. "High gravity environments, high radiation zones, extreme temperature ranges, toxic atmospheres. Our bodies can handle conditions that would kill most species. That could be useful in rescue operations or exploration missions." Dr. Velrith stood up. "I would like to add something if I may." Director Harnack nodded and Dr. Velrith continued. "I have been studying the data about Earth since last night. What humans are not telling you is just how extreme their planet really is. Not just the oxygen levels. The gravity is nearly twice what most spacefaring species consider comfortable. The temperature ranges are enormous, from far below freezing to hot enough to denature proteins. The planet has active plate tectonics, meaning the ground literally moves and shakes regularly. And the star that Earth orbits produces radiation levels that would damage the DNA of most species we know." The council members stared at Dr. Velrith, then at the humans. "Is this true?" Director Harnack asked. Hana nodded slowly. "Yes, but again, that is just normal to us." "We evolved there. We adapted." "You did not just adapt," Dr. Velrith said quietly. "You conquered. You became the dominant species on one of the most hostile planets I have ever heard of. That is not just unusual. That is extraordinary." There was a long silence in the chamber. The council members looked at each other, uncertain. Some still seemed afraid. Others looked thoughtful. A few looked impressed. Finally, a very old alien in the back row spoke. His voice was wheezy and tired, but everyone listened. "I have been on this council for 40 years. I have seen many new species join the galactic community. Some were peaceful. Some were aggressive. Some were smart. Some were strong. But I have never seen a species that was forged in such a harsh environment. These humans survived something that would kill any of us. That deserves respect, not fear. It also deserves caution," Director Harnack said. "We cannot simply ignore the danger they represent." "We don't represent danger," Hana said firmly. "We represent possibility. Give us a chance to prove it." The council began to debate. Hours passed. Humans waited in the center of the chamber, tired but standing strong. They would not back down. Dr. Velrith could not sleep that night. The council meeting had ended without a clear decision. Some members wanted the humans expelled immediately. Others wanted them studied further. A few wanted to welcome them as full members of the galactic community. Director Harnack had postponed the final vote for 2 days to allow more research. The doctor sat in his office, staring at the limited data available about Earth. There was so little information. Humans were so new to space travel that they had barely shared anything about their world yet. But what little was there fascinated and frightened him in equal measure. He activated his communication panel and sent a request to the human ship. Within minutes, a response came back. A human named Nari, who was listed as a xenobiologist, would be happy to meet with him and share information about Earth. They met in one of the station's neutral meeting rooms. Nari was shorter than the other humans Dr. Velrith had met, with dark hair tied back in a simple style. She carried a data storage device and had a friendly smile on her face. She seemed excited to help. "Thank you for meeting with me," Dr. Velrith said. "I know your people are in a difficult situation right now." "That is exactly why I want to help," Nari said, sitting down across from him. "If people understood Earth better, maybe they would not be so scared of us." She placed the data device on the table. "I brought everything we have about our planet. Climate data, geological surveys, biological diversity records, evolutionary history. It is all here." Dr. Velrith connected the device to his system. Files began loading onto his screens. "So many files. Years' worth of data. This is very generous of you." "Science should be shared," Nari said simply. "That is how everyone learns and grows together." Dr. Velrith opened the first file. It was a basic overview of Earth's characteristics. The numbers made his crystalline skin feel cold again. Gravity, 1.0 g. That was nearly double what his own species lived in comfortably. Most spacefaring species had evolved in gravity, ranging from 0.4 g to 0.7 g. Humans lived their entire lives in what others would consider heavy gravity. Atmospheric pressure, 101.3 kilopascals. Most species existed comfortably between 40 and 60 kilopascals. Humans were living under crushing pressure every moment. Temperature ranges, -89 degrees to +58 degrees Celsius in different regions. That was a span of almost 150 degrees. Most species could only survive in a range of maybe 30 degrees. "These numbers," Dr. Velrith said slowly. "They are extreme, are they?" Nari asked, genuinely curious. "I guess we never thought about it." "That is just what Earth is like." Dr. Velrith opened another file. This one detailed Earth's geological activity. His eyes widened as he read about earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, and hurricanes. "Your planet is trying to kill you," he said without thinking. Nari laughed. "Sometimes it feels that way, yes. But we have learned to predict and prepare for natural disasters. They are dangerous, but we survive them." "How?" Dr. Velrith asked. "How do you survive in such conditions?" "We adapt. We build strong structures. We create warning systems. We help each other during emergencies." Nari pulled up an image of Earth from space. The blue and green planet looked beautiful. "Earth has always been challenging, but it is also rich with life. Millions of different species all competing and cooperating and evolving together. That competition made us smart and tough." Dr. Velrith opened a file about human evolution. What he read made him lean back in his chair, stunned. "You were persistence hunters?" "Our ancestors were, yes," Nari said. "They would chase prey for hours and hours until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. Humans can run for very long distances. We have excellent cooling systems. We sweat, which allows us to release heat even during extreme exercise. Other species cannot do this. Some can, but not many. Most predators are sprinters. They run very fast for short distances. But humans are marathoners. We can keep going long after others have stopped." Nari seemed proud of this fact. "Our bodies are built for endurance." Dr. Velrith pulled up more files, reading faster now. Each new piece of information added to the picture of what humans really were. They were not just survivors. They were apex predators from a death world. Their muscles were dense and powerful, adapted for heavy gravity. Their bones were thick and strong. Their cardiovascular systems were incredibly efficient at delivering oxygen to tissues. Their brains were large and complex, capable of advanced problem-solving and planning. "Your immune systems," Dr. Velrith said, reading another file, "they are remarkably aggressive. We have to fight off a lot of diseases and parasites," Nari explained. "Earth has countless bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites that want to use our bodies as hosts. Our immune systems learn to fight back hard and fast." "And your pain tolerance," Dr. Velrith continued. "You have systems that allow you to keep functioning even when seriously injured." "Adrenaline," Nari said. "Our bodies release chemicals that suppress pain and increase strength during emergencies. It is a survival mechanism. Sometimes you need to keep running even when you are hurt. Dr. Velrith looked at the young woman sitting across from him. She seemed so friendly and harmless. But the data told a different story. Humans were biological weapons that had been sharpened by millions of years of brutal evolution. Every system in their bodies was optimized for survival in conditions that would kill almost anything else. You said Earth has millions of species, Dr. Velrith said. What happened to the ones that competed with humans? Nari's smile faded a bit. Most of them lost. Humans are very good at competing for resources. We spread across the entire planet. We learned to live in every environment. From frozen poles to hot deserts to dense jungles, we adapted, or we made our environments adapt to us. You conquered your planet. I suppose we did, Nari said quietly, but we also learned to protect it. We made mistakes along the way. We destroyed habitats and drove species to extinction, but now we try to preserve what is left. We understand that we are part of Earth's ecosystem, not separate from it. Dr. Velrith pulled up one more file. This one showed images of various Earth animals. He saw creatures with massive teeth and claws, armored reptiles, venomous serpents, huge predators that could crush bones with their jaws. And humans domesticated some of these creatures, Dr. Velrith asked, pointing at an image of something called a dog. Dogs are our friends, Nari said, smiling again. We evolved together. They help us hunt and guard our homes. In return, we give them food and shelter and love. You have predators living in your homes? They are not predators to us anymore. They are companions, family members. Nari pulled up more images. We also domesticated cats, horses, cattle, and many other species. We have a talent for forming bonds with other creatures. Dr. Velrith sat back in his chair, overwhelmed by what he had learned. Humans were not just dangerous because of their flammable blood. They were dangerous because they were perfectly designed survivors from a planet that had tested them in every possible way. They were strong, fast, smart, and resilient. They could endure pain, survive injuries, fight off diseases, and adapt to nearly any environment. And they had domesticated their planet's predators as pets. Thank you for sharing this information, Dr. Velrith said finally. It helps me understand your people much better. Does it make you less afraid of us? Nari asked hopefully. Dr. Velrith considered the question. No, he said honestly. It makes me more afraid. But it also makes me more impressed. And more certain that humanity deserves a place in the galactic community. Even though we are dangerous, every species is dangerous in its own way, Dr. Velrith said. Some have natural weapons. Some have powerful technology. Some have deadly diseases. But humans have something different. You have the ability to survive almost anything. That is not just dangerous. That is valuable. Nari stood up, preparing to leave. I hope the council sees it that way. I will do my best to convince them, Dr. Velrith promised. After Nari left, Dr. Velrith spent hours compiling a report. He included all the data about Earth along with his own analysis. His conclusion was clear. Humans were a Class 12 Death World species, the highest classification ever given. They were dangerous, yes, but they were also exactly the kind of species the galaxy needed. He sent the report to every member of the medical council. Then he waited to see if anyone would listen. Lab technician Kickstill had been working in the xenobiology laboratory for 12 years. His insectoid body was perfectly suited for precise work. His forearms could operate multiple instruments at once, and his compound eyes could detect tiny differences in color and texture that other species would miss. He had analyzed blood samples from 37 different species. He thought he had seen everything. The human blood samples sat in their containment tubes on his workstation. The dark red liquid looked normal enough, maybe a bit darker than some species, but nothing alarming at first glance. He loaded the first tube into the spectral analyzer and started the standard testing protocol. The machine hummed as it worked. Numbers and graphs appeared on the screen in front of him. Kickstill's antennae twitched as he read the results. Then they twitched again. Something was wrong. The oxygen content reading was impossibly high. The machine must be broken. He ran the test again. Same results. He ran it a third time using a different analyzer. Same results. He ran it a fourth time using completely different equipment. The same impossible numbers appeared on every screen. Kickstill's mandibles clicked together nervously. This could not be right. These readings suggested that human blood carried oxygen in concentrations that should kill any living creature. The pH levels were fluctuating in ways that should dissolve cells from the inside. And the energy compounds, the sugars and fats and proteins, they were present at ratios that his safety training had taught him to classify as fuel, dangerous fuel. He checked the flammability index. The number that appeared made him step back from his workstation. According to every safety standard in the Galactic Medical Database, this substance was one chemical reaction away from catching fire. His hands shook as he activated the emergency communication line to Dr. Velrith. "Sir, we have a serious problem with the human samples." Dr. Velrith arrived at the laboratory within minutes. He was followed by Director Harnack, the station's chief medical officer. Director Harnack was a saurian, a reptilian species known for their strict adherence to rules and safety protocols. His green scales reflected the laboratory lights as he moved. "Show me," Dr. Velrith said. Kixtel displayed all the test results on the main screen. The three of them stood in silence, reading the data over and over again. "Run it again," Director Harnack ordered. His voice was deep and harsh. "I have already run it 4 times, sir," Kixtel said, using different equipment. "The results are consistent." Director Harnack leaned closer to the screen. His eyes narrowed as he read through the chemical breakdown. "This is a Class 7 biohazard. Minimum, maybe Class 8. Dr. Velrith touched one of the data panels, pulling up a comparison chart. "Look at this oxygen concentration. Humans apparently need this much oxygen to survive. Their blood is designed to carry enormous amounts of it throughout their bodies. That level of oxygen should cause combustion in their own tissues," Director Harnack said. "How are they not burning from the inside?" "And look here," Kixtel pointed with one of his 4 hands. "These compounds. Ethanol traces.
That is alcohol."
"That is literally a fuel. Why do they have fuel in their bloodstream?" Dr. Velrith checked the medical notes from Minho's treatment. The patient seemed completely healthy before the injury. He was working normally, performing physical labor. He showed no signs of toxicity or distress. "Then their biology is adapted to survive in conditions that would kill most of us," Director Harnack said slowly. He turned to look at the containment tubes holding the blood samples. "What kind of world produces creatures like this?" Kixtel pulled up the final analysis report. At the bottom of the screen, in large letters, was the automated classification: borderline flammable, extreme oxidizer content, biohazard level 7. "This changes everything," Director Harnack said. "If their blood is this dangerous, what about the rest of them? What about their waste products? Their breath? Their sweat?" He turned to Dr. Velrith. "We have an entire ship of these creatures docked at our station right now. They have not caused any problems," Dr. Velrith said carefully. "They seem peaceful. They have followed all our protocols. Because they have been in their own ship with their own controlled environment," Director Harnack snapped. "But now we know what they are. They are walking chemical weapons. Biological hazards. We need to take action immediately." "What kind of action?" Dr. Velrith asked, though he had a sinking feeling he knew the answer. "Quarantine. Full quarantine of the human delegation until we can understand the threat level." Director Harnack was already moving toward the laboratory door. "And we need to call an emergency meeting of the Medical Council. They need to see these results." "Sir, with respect, humans are a new species to us," Dr. Velrith said. "We should try to understand them before we label them as threats." Director Harnack stopped at the door and looked back. "Doctor, I have maintained safety on this station for 20 years. I have dealt with biological hazards, chemical leaks, and radiation incidents. I know a danger when I see one." He pointed at the screen showing the blood analysis. "That is danger. Clear and present danger." Within an hour, security teams were dispatched to the docking area where the human ship was attached. The human crew was informed that they were under temporary quarantine for medical safety reasons. Captain Tejo protested strongly, but the station security was firm. No humans would be allowed to move freely through the station until the Medical Council had reviewed their case. The Medical Council meeting was scheduled for the next morning. In the meantime, all the test results were copied and sent to every council member. Dr. Velrith spent the night reading through the data again and again, trying to make sense of it. The numbers did not lie. Human blood was genuinely dangerous by galactic standards, but humans themselves seemed so normal, so friendly. Minho had been polite and cooperative during his treatment. Hana had been professional and grateful. How could such pleasant people have such deadly biology? Dr. Velrith pulled up what little information was available about Earth, the human homeworld. The data was limited because humans were so new to the galactic community. But what he saw made his crystalline skin feel cold. Oxygen levels in Earth's atmosphere. 21%. 21%. Most spacefaring species lived comfortably in atmospheres with 2 to 8% oxygen. Anything above 10% was considered highly combustible and dangerous. But humans breathed air with 21% oxygen content every single day. They lived in an atmosphere that was, by galactic standards, a fire hazard. Dr. Velrith sat back in his chair. Suddenly, the blood analysis made more sense. Humans had evolved in an environment so rich in oxygen that their bodies had adapted to use it in extreme quantities. Their blood was not abnormally dangerous. It was perfectly normal for creatures that lived on a high-oxygen world. But that raised another question. What kind of planet had 21% oxygen in its atmosphere? What other conditions existed on Earth that would require such extreme adaptations? Dr. Velrith had a growing suspicion that humans were far more interesting and far more dangerous than anyone had realized. And tomorrow's council meeting was going to be very difficult. In the quarantine area, Hana sat with Captain Taiho and the rest of the crew. They were confused and frustrated by the sudden restrictions. What did we do wrong? Yuna, their cultural liaison, asked. We followed every rule. We were polite and respectful. I do not think we did anything wrong, Taiho said quietly. I think they found something in Minho's blood tests that scared them. Minho touched his bandaged arm. What could be scary about my blood? It is just blood. To us, yes, Hana said. She had been thinking about this for hours. But to aliens who evolved on completely different worlds? Maybe our biology is strange to them. Maybe dangerous. We are not dangerous, Jiho said firmly. We came here in peace. I know, Hana said. But sometimes being different is enough to scare people, even when you mean no harm. They sat in silence, waiting for morning and whatever judgment the medical council would bring. The warning lights flashed red across the docking bay as metal scraped against metal. Minho pressed his hand harder against the airlock seal, trying to force the stubborn connector into place. His muscles strained as he pushed with everything he had. The seal was stuck at a bad angle, and if he did not fix it soon, the docking procedure would fail completely. Come on, he muttered under his breath. His fingers found better grip on the metal edge, and he gave one final push. The seal clicked into place. But at the same moment, a sharp piece of exposed metal caught his forearm and tore through his uniform sleeve. Pain shot up his arm as blood began to flow from a deep cut that ran from his wrist almost to his elbow. Damn it! Minho grabbed his arm and pressed down on the wound. Blood seeped between his fingers, warm and sticky. This was not good. Not good at all, Minho status report. The voice of Captain Taiho crackled through his earpiece. Airlock is sealed, sir, Minho said, trying to keep his voice steady. But I need medical attention. Got a pretty bad cut here. How bad? Minho looked down at his arm. The blood was not stopping, even with pressure. Bad enough that I cannot fix it myself, sir. There was a pause on the other end. Then Captain Taiho spoke again. Hana, get to the docking bay right now. Minho is injured. Within 2 minutes, Hana rushed through the corridor with her medical kit. Her eyes went wide when she saw the blood on Minho's arm and the floor around him. She quickly pulled out bandages and started to examine the wound. This needs stitches, she said, frowning. Maybe more than I can do here. The cut is too deep and too long. You might have damaged some important blood vessels. Minho felt a bit dizzy. Maybe he had lost more blood than he thought. Can you fix it? Hana shook her head. Not properly. Not with what I have here. We need better equipment. She pressed a thick bandage against the wound and wrapped it tightly. We are docked at a galactic medical station. One of the best in this sector. I will ask them for help. Aliens? Minho asked. Are you sure that is a good idea? They have been treating different species for hundreds of years, Hana said. They know what they are doing. Much better than what I can do on our small ship. Captain Taiho arrived at the docking bay, along with Jiho, their security officer. Taiho took one look at Minho and made the decision quickly. Contact the station. Get him to their medical wing. This is exactly why we have diplomatic protocols. Hana spoke into her communication device. Within minutes, a response came back. The station's medical team would accept the patient immediately. They were sending a transport unit right away. The transport arrived faster than expected. 2 alien medics stepped out and Minho stared at them despite his pain. He had seen aliens before on video calls during the diplomatic preparations, but seeing them in person was different. These two were called Calarians, according to the brief Hana had shown the crew. They had skin that looked like it was made of smooth, pale crystals. Their faces were almost human-shaped, but their eyes were larger and completely black. They moved with careful, precise gestures. One of them spoke in perfectly translated human language through a small device on their chest. "We are here to help. Please come with us." Minho stood up with Jiho's help. The world tilted a bit, but he managed to walk. They guided him to the transport, which was surprisingly comfortable. The seat adjusted to his body shape automatically. As they moved through the station's corridors, Minho caught glimpses of dozens of different alien species going about their business. Some were tall and thin. Others were short and round. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. It was overwhelming. They arrived at a massive medical facility called the Celestial Dawn. The building was huge, with white walls that seemed to glow from within. Everything looked clean and advanced, far more advanced than anything humans had built. A tall Quilarian in what looked like a doctor's coat greeted them at the entrance. "I am Dr. Velrith," he said through his translator. "I oversee the xenobiology wing. You must be our human patient." "Yes, sir," Minho said, feeling awkward. "I am Minho. I work as an engineer." "Do not worry, Minho. We have treated over 40 different species here. One more will not be a problem." Dr. Velrith's voice was calm and reassuring. "Let us get you to a treatment room." The treatment room was filled with equipment Minho did not recognize. Floating screens displayed strange symbols and graphs. Mechanical arms hung from the ceiling, ready to move at a moment's notice. Hana stood nearby, watching carefully as the alien medical team prepared to work. "We will start with our standard tissue regenerator," Dr. Velrith said. "It should close the wound quickly without scarring." One of the medical assistants brought over a device that looked like a smooth metal wand. They positioned it over Minho's wound and activated it. A soft blue light emerged from the tip. Then sparks flew everywhere. The device made a horrible screeching sound and began to smoke. The assistant quickly shut it off and pulled it away from Minho's arm. Dr. Velrith's crystalline face showed what might have been surprise. "That has never happened before," he said slowly. "Run a diagnostic on that regenerator." Another assistant checked the device with a scanner. "Sir, the equipment is functioning normally." The malfunction occurred when it interacted with the patient's tissue. Dr. Velrith looked at Minho with those huge black eyes. "Your biology is more unusual than we expected. We will have to use traditional methods, sutures and bandages." "That is fine," Hana said quickly. "We are used to that." The alien medical team cleaned the wound carefully and began stitching it closed. Their movements were skilled and gentle. Minho barely felt anything after they applied a numbing agent. While they worked, Dr. Velrith explained that protocol required them to take blood samples from any new species for full analysis. "It is standard procedure," he said. "We need to understand your biology to treat you properly in the future. It will also help us create a medical database for humans." Minho nodded. "That makes sense." They drew several vials of his blood. The dark red color seemed to fascinate the alien medics. They held the vials up to the light, examining them carefully. Minho wondered what they were thinking. Did human blood look strange to them? After the stitching was complete, they wrapped his arm in a clean white bandage. Dr. Velrith gave him instructions through the translator about keeping the wound clean and dry. They would send the analysis results to Hana within a few hours. "Thank you," Minho said as he stood up. His arm felt much better now. The pain had faded to a dull ache. "You are welcome," Dr. Velrith said. "Please rest and recover. We will contact your ship's medical officer soon." As Minho left with Hana and Jiho, he felt relieved. The aliens had helped him and everything had gone smoothly. Well, except for the sparking regenerator, but that was probably just a small technical problem. Behind them in the medical wing, Dr. Velrith watched as the blood samples were taken to the laboratory. He had a strange feeling about these humans. Something was different about them. Very different. The lab would tell them what it was. The alarm screamed through every corridor of the station. Red lights flashed in steady, panic-inducing pulses. Dr. Velrith dropped the medical report he had been reading and ran toward the command center. Other staff members were running in the same direction, their faces showing fear and confusion. Director Harnack was already in the command center, shouting orders at his team. Seal off sectors 7 through 12. Get everyone out of the lower decks now. What happened? Dr. Velrith asked, pushing through the crowd. Chemical leak in the reactor maintenance area, Director Harnack said, his reptilian face tight with stress. Some idiot mixed incompatible fuel compounds. There is a fire burning in a zero-oxygen environment, and the smoke is toxic. Worse, the automated fire suppression system failed. The chemicals are spreading through the ventilation. How many people are trapped? 12 crew members were working in that sector. They are sealed in emergency shelters right now, but those shelters will not hold forever. The toxic gases are seeping in. Director Harnack slammed his fist on the console. We cannot get rescue teams in there. The heat is too extreme and the chemicals are lethal to every species we have on the station. Dr. Velrith looked at the sensor readings. The temperature in the affected area was well above what most species could survive, even with protective suits. The chemical mixture was a nightmare of toxic compounds that would destroy the respiratory systems of any rescue team they sent in. What about using robots? Someone suggested. The radiation and heat are frying their circuits, a technician reported. We sent 3 units already. None made it more than 50 meters. How long do the trapped crew have? Dr. Velrith asked quietly. Maybe an hour, Director Harnack said. Maybe less. The toxins are building up fast. A human voice spoke from the doorway. We can help. Everyone turned. Hyun stood there, still wearing the casual clothing he had been relaxing in. He was one of the human crew members Dr. Velrith had not met yet. Behind him were Jiho Minho with his bandaged arm, and another human Dr. Velrith did not recognize. This is not your concern, Director Harnack said coldly. Your people are still under quarantine. 12 people are about to die, Hyun said, walking into the command center without permission. That makes it our concern. He moved to the sensor displays and studied them carefully. What chemicals are burning? A technician rattled off a list of compound names. Hyun nodded as he listened, his eyes moving quickly over the readouts. I know these chemicals, Hyun said. I used to work in emergency response on Earth. We dealt with industrial fires. These compounds are bad, yes. Toxic to most species, but not to humans. That is impossible, Director Harnack said. These toxins would destroy lung tissue in minutes. For you, maybe, Hyun said. But human lungs are tough. We evolved breathing air filled with all kinds of pollutants. Smoke, dust, volcanic gases. Our respiratory systems can handle a lot of abuse. He pointed at the temperature readings. This heat is uncomfortable but survivable for short periods. We can go in. Director Harnack stared at him. You are suggesting that humans enter a toxic inferno that is killing our best robots? Yes, Hyun said simply. But we need to do it right. The chemicals need oxygen to fully combust and neutralize. If we bring portable oxygen generators with us, we can burn off the toxins as we go. Clear a path to the trapped crew. Dr. Velrith felt a spark of hope. He pulled up the blood analysis report on his personal tablet and studied it again. The high oxygen content, the extreme metabolic efficiency, the heat resistance. Could humans really survive conditions that would kill everyone else? It could work, Dr. Velrith said slowly. Their biology is adapted for high-stress, high-danger situations. This is insane, Director Harnack said. But his voice held doubt now, not certainty. He looked at the sensor displays again, watching the toxic cloud spread. His trapped crew members were running out of time. Let us try, Jiho said, stepping forward. We have nothing to lose. If we fail, you are not any worse off than you are now. Director Harnack closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them, his decision was made. Get them protective suits, full environmental gear. If you die in there, I'm not explaining it to your captain. Understood, Hyun said. Within minutes, 4 humans were suited up in the station's best protective equipment. The suits were designed for extreme environments, but they had never been tested in conditions this severe. Hyun, Jiho, Minho, and the 4th human, Sunho, checked each other's seals carefully. Remember, Hyun said to his team, short breaths. Keep moving. Do not stop for anything except the crew we are here to save. They each carried a portable oxygen generator. The devices were heavy, but the humans lifted them easily, their heavy world muscles handling the weight without strain. Dr. Velrith watched from the command center as the rescue team entered the affected sector. Camera feeds showed them moving through corridors filled with thick, toxic smoke. The temperature readings were climbing. Over 60 degrees Celsius now, hot enough to cause serious burns. The humans kept moving. They reached the first oxygen release point. Hyun activated his generator. Pure oxygen flooded into the corridor. The toxic chemicals ignited in brilliant flashes of light. The cameras showed walls of fire sweeping through the passage. But when the flames cleared, the air was cleaner. "It is working," the technician monitoring the sensors said with disbelief. "The toxin levels are dropping." The humans moved deeper into the danger zone. More oxygen releases, more controlled burns. They were using fire to fight fire, turning the toxic chemicals into less harmful compounds through combustion. "They are insane," Director Harnack muttered. "Completely insane." "Or completely brilliant," Dr. Velrith said, watching the humans work with practiced efficiency. They reached the emergency shelters where the crew members were trapped. The doors were sealed shut, jammed by heat damage. Jiho and Sunho worked together, using tools from their belts to force the mechanisms. Their strength was remarkable. Muscles bulging with effort, they tore the door open. 12 alien crew members stumbled out coughing and weak but alive. The humans helped them, supporting their weight, guiding them back through the corridors they had cleared. Then disaster struck. A pipe overhead ruptured, spraying hot chemicals directly onto Sunho. His suit was breached. The protective layer tore open, exposing his arm and part of his chest to the toxic air. He stumbled but did not fall. "Sunho is hit," Minho shouted into his communicator. "Get him out of there now," Director Harnack ordered. But Sunho shook his head. "No, we finish the rescue first." His voice was strained with pain but determined. He grabbed 2 of the smaller alien crew members, 1 under each arm, and kept moving. Dr. Velrith watched in horror and awe. The human was injured, exposed to lethal toxins, but he continued functioning. The adrenaline response Nari had described. The ability to push through pain. It was all real. Blood dripped from Sunho's wound. Some of it spattered on hot metal surfaces. It sizzled and briefly caught fire, tiny flames that burned bright for a moment before dying out. The cameras captured it. Everyone in the command center saw it. Human blood burning like fuel. "By the stars," someone whispered. The rescue team made it back to the safe zone. All 12 trapped crew members survived. Medical teams rushed forward to treat them. Sunho collapsed as soon as they were through the safety doors. His suit was peeling off, revealing burned and chemically damaged skin underneath. Dr. Velrith ran to him with a medical team. "Get him to emergency treatment now." As they loaded Sunho onto a stretcher, Hyun pulled off his helmet. His face was red from heat and sweat poured down his forehead. But he was smiling. Everyone made it. That is what matters. Director Harnack stood at the edge of the safe zone staring at the humans. His expression was complicated. Fear, respect, confusion, gratitude all mixed together. "You saved them," he said simply. "You saved my crew." "That is what you do when people are in trouble," Jiho said, removing his own helmet. "You help them, no matter what." Dr. Velrith oversaw Sunho's treatment personally. The injuries looked terrible, but Sunho's body was already fighting back. His immune system was attacking the toxins. His damaged tissues were beginning to repair. Within hours, he was stable and conscious. The 12 rescued crew members made full recoveries. 2 of them had been council members who had voted to expel humanity from the station. They came to the medical wing to thank the humans personally. They could barely speak, overwhelmed with emotion. That night, Director Harnack visited Dr. Velrith's office. He sat down heavily in a chair, looking exhausted. "I was wrong about them," he said quietly. "I saw danger and assumed threat. But they are not dangerous to us. They are dangerous for us." "There is a difference," Dr. Velrith nodded. "They are survivors, protectors. That is what their harsh world made them." "I am calling another council meeting tomorrow," Director Harnack said, "to vote on humanity's status. But this time, I will be voting to welcome them." The next day, the council voted. It was not even close. Humanity was accepted into the Galactic Assembly with a new designation, Specialized Hazard Response Species. They were recognized as uniquely capable of operating in extreme conditions that would kill other species. Captain Taiho accepted the decision with grace and humor.